welcome to another episode of the Lone Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Clemenson, and if you're a recruiter out on your own, just lacking general advice or mentorship, you've come to the right place. Our episodes are designed to give you the motivation, the strategies, and the support you need to become the very best lone recruiter. So join us, grab a cup of coffee, and let's take your desk to another level. Now, today's a very quick one, but it is probably the most divisive element in an office that I can think of, which is what temperature is best for optimal performance in the office. Now, you probably know the answer to this. Some may not, but it is a really, really interesting debate because we've all been in offices that are too cold or too hot. So who's right and who's wrong? And I'm here today to settle that because I have the answer. I'll start with, though, what prompted this episode. I learnt that many years ago, David Letterman had that TV show in America. He's notoriously known. He would have the studio at 13 degrees Celsius. 13 degrees. Freezing. Apparently, people would walk in and go, holy crap, it's freezing in here. You know, the argument is they've got hot lights. But the reality is he didn't want people to sweat. Apparently, people were sharper and more on edge, and the audience are more alert. So that made me think, what would be the optimal temperature in an office? Because right now I'm in a t-shirt, shorts and shoes. I'm a little on the chilly side, but it's I feel like it's that perfect temperature. It's set at 23 degrees. Now, apparently that's not the correct temperature to be at. We all know that when you're too hot in an office, there's no air conditioning, the sun's beaming in, you're very foggy. I find myself very foggy. I can't concentrate. And then on the flip side, when you're too cold and you're actually shivering and you're starting to yawn because you're getting so cold, your body feels like it's shutting down. For me, that's equally as frustrating for my productivity. So, you know, this was an interesting read. So according to the air conditioning industry, there's actually an inverted U-shaped curve. So it goes up like this and then kind of tails out a little longer in terms of productivity. So, you know, you got to imagine 15 degrees. So apparently at 15 degrees Celsius, if we set this bad boy to 15 degrees, I'll be freezing. But the effect on productivity in the office is only about 10%. So you're probably operating at about 90% productivity. It then goes to peak performance. Peak performance in the office is 22 degrees. If you can set your air conditioner to 22 degrees, apparently that is the optimal peak performance for any office. It's then quite a long tail down at about 30 degrees, which is bloody hot. That becomes at 90% productivity, and then it quickly drops off after that, the hotter it gets. So we've got quite a high tolerance. Sydney University studied almost 300 articles around this very topic, and it is still quite inconclusive in that it does depend on, is there sun coming into your office? Are you being physical in whatever task you're doing? What's your diet like? What's your health like? What's your weight like? Obviously play into how you perceive the temperature, right? But when all is said and done, when all of the arguments in the office have been said, all of the to's and fro's and the fors and against for different temperatures, the reality is this: 22 degrees is the temperature for optimal performance in any office environment. So if you've got a boss, if you've got a staff member, if you've got a friend, if you've got a colleague who says otherwise, show them this episode and say, hey, the Lone Recruiter says this. And this is not me. I'm reading the aircon industry globally have agreed to 22 degrees as being the perfect temperature. Sydney University agree that it might be a bit murky depending on the activities you're doing, but 22 degrees seems to be that sort of peak point. You know, 21, 23, that sort of range, that's where you want it to be. So if you've got someone in your office going 20, 19, tell them to sort their body out. It's not the aircon, it's them. And if you've got someone who wants it hot, say we'd rather have it cooler, you put a jumper on, right? So 22 degrees, that's it. I told you it would be quick, 5 minutes. That's all we have time for you today. If you got anything out of today's episode, share it, like it, subscribe it, send it to someone who sets it way too high. Send this to someone who sets it way too cold. Have a little laugh with them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, have an amazing day, and may all your deals and air conditioning come true.